Hello and good morning, and thank you once again for joining me here on the beach. So today I'm going to be talking about something that may be difficult for you. It was for me. In 12-step recovery, the process has one portion of it that a lot of us try to avoid, and that's a fourth step. So what's the big deal about the fourth step? Personally, when I was first shown the steps and I looked at that fourth step, I thought, personal inventory? Me? Man, all I gotta do is quit drinking. You know, if I just quit drinking, I'd be okay. And I've found that there's a lot of people that feel that way. Like, I don't need an inventory. It's those people that need the inventory. I can always find somebody to point a finger at. It's not me, it's them. How many of us have said that? The fourth step is crucial, and I certainly didn't see it that way in the beginning. My thought was that I could do this thing without actually doing a fourth step, because that's for people who really were bad. See, in the first step, we're breaking down the walls of denial. In step one, we admit that we're powerless over alcohol and that our lives have become unmanageable. That's a big step, man, especially because in recovery, step one is like the most important step. It's the one that you really have to get right. So all the denial gets broken down some in that first step, but it doesn't remove all the denial. Some of the denial breaks down, but it does not remove all the denial. Step one is designed, I think, to break down the walls of denial. But all it does is like put a couple holes in the wall of denial. Coming to that realization that I'm powerless over alcohol makes me want to do something about it. And so I continue on with the steps. In step two, I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. And in step three, I turned my will and my life over to that power. This is where a lot of us stop. We just stop. Okay, I can practice these three steps. I'm powerless, I've come to believe, and now I've turned my will and my life over to a power greater than myself. I'm good. You can't stop there. That is not the end of the 12-step program. There's 12 of them. That's only 3, okay? So let's keep going. Step 4 says we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Not of other people, of ourselves. We have to look within. With the 4th step, we have to stop pointing fingers at other people and take a look at our behavior. Own our conduct. Where have I been wrong? Not where have others been wrong. So we begin to look inward. We're looking at ourselves now. And I think that's where all the fear comes from. You know, I had this vision in my head of the man that I was. And it was the one that I wanted everyone else to see. But it wasn't really me. It was what I was trying to portray. And in the 4th step, I had to get honest. Not with other people so much. I had to get honest with myself. Look at myself through the lens of reality. Who have I really been? Those walls of denial that I talked about in step 1, they had to come crashing down. I had to be real. I had to be honest. I had to really and truly see the man that I was, not the one I wanted you to see. And that is where the fear comes from. We don't want to look at that. We don't want to see reality. So in the fourth step, the walls of denial, which in my case were very thick and tall walls of denial. I did not want to look at that. My thought was the only thing that I ever did wrong was when I was drunk. So it's the drinking. If I just quit drinking, and I went through it over and over again with these excuses for not going through with a proper inventory of myself, not other people. That taking inventory of others, that's easy. I can tell you what you're doing wrong. But what I'm doing wrong? What do you mean, what am I doing wrong? I'm not doing it. You see? So I had to go through all of that inner turmoil, that wrestling with myself over how in the world am I going to do this inventory. The walls of denial had to come crashing down. And just like the rest of the program, it requires action. Back in step 3, we turned our will and our lives over to the care of a God of our own understanding. If you've turned your will and your life over to God, and the next step is taking a fearless and moral inventory of ourselves, that's obviously God's will. Make it happen, man. Make it happen. Allow those walls. He's really squawking. Let those walls of denial come crashing down. It turns out the fear of doing that, it's like the big book says, it's like the boogeyman. It's not really anything to fear. I've always thought of the fourth step as like, when you're traveling on the interstate and you stop at a rest area, there's always a map there with a push pin. You are here. That's what the fourth step does. It erases all doubt. This is where you are. This is who you are. Now, where do you want to go from here? Without that information, how are you going to know how to get where you want to go? Without that information, we're lost. The fourth step is one of the most important things we can do in our recovery. And I think back because, that thought that I've had in the past was, well, I don't need an inventory. All I need to do is quit drinking. I think back on that line of thinking, and I thank God today that I went ahead and I did the fourth step. Because if all I had done was quit drinking, my behavior would not have changed. Okay? They say in the program something along the lines of, if you get a drunken horse thief sober, what do you got? A sober horse thief. If you're still stealing horses, what good is it? This is not just about putting a plug in a jug. It's about becoming a person today that's better than the man that I was yesterday. So if you're struggling with step 4, if you're experiencing fear over having to look within rather than point fingers at other people, I encourage you to just take the action. Just take the action. It's God's will. It's the only thing we can change is us. We can't change all those people around us. It's extremely important to take your step 4. And that way you can live happy, joyous, and free. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.